Okay, our next speaker is Chris. Chris is the Sustainable Transport Officer at the City of Boroondara. Chris works with businesses, schools and community to promote walking, cycling and public transport. Today he's going to talk about the growth in cycling in the City of Boroondara, where he works. And here are his slides. Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. All right, so I'm probably more talking, I guess, about growth, but also just about data and how we analyze it, how we review it. So the first two up there, Super Tuesday, Super Sunday, for those who don't know, they're volunteer-based counts that are run by Bicycle Network Victoria. The loop counters there, the permanent infrastructure, there's about 33 of them that Vic Roads manages out on mainly shared paths. Some of the other ways that we count is just sort of on an as-needs basis with video counters, bike tube counters, that sort of thing. And we also look at Vista and ABS data. Why do we count? I guess going back to what Fiona Calvert said at the start, it's building that evidence, knowing what's happening now, what the trend is, and so we can start planning for the future. But it's not all perfect. So, as an example, this is a snapshot straight off of the Vic Roads counter loops data that's available. The third one listed there is Gardeners Creek Trail. That's probably, for Boroondara, that's our major trail that gets lots of numbers. The other two, you can see there's some nice steady growth going on over, from 2006 onwards. In 2009, I guess we've got an explanation for why that dropped. There was a major disruption. Monash Freeway Works closed, further upstream, it closed part of the trail. Detours were in place and all that sort of stuff. But you can see the numbers never came back. So, we originally just thought, well, it's because of the construction. But then, we sort of queried it as we started getting more numbers. Super Tuesday numbers further down were telling us that doesn't look right. So we put the question to Vic Roads. Their maintenance guys actually got out and calibrated it and discovered it wasn't right. So pretty much about 12 months ago, they put a new counter in, a new counting loop in, and that's sort of where it is, which is really reassuring to us because, over the last 5 years, we've done a lot of upgrades on this trail because we know those numbers are huge. So here's a bit of a snapshot of our Super Tuesday data, including 2013's. We're pretty much seeing, reasonable growth across, so that's over the 5 or 6 years there. Pretty good growth across the network. There's only one site that we actually saw negative, which was Camberwell Junction. Not really a surprise, but again, the numbers actually aren't huge anyways. It's like a difference from about 90 to 87 or something like that. So it's pretty marginal. This one I'll just show for a second. This is just to try and give you a comparison of what the numbers are like in Boroondara between the off-road routes and the on-road routes. And just like what Bart and Alistair were saying, we're certainly seeing a lot more people on the off-road paths for a number of different reasons. And if I just sort of zoom in there on the off-road, one of the things so this is Super Tuesday data, and this does highlight one of the shortcomings of the Super Tuesday count. We know it's an annual count, it happens once a year. The two bars in the middle, the red and the green, 2011 and 2012, weather wasn't very good. And we see a big reduction in what's going on. And it's, in terms of the value of that data, it's not great. But, when we look at 2010 and 2013, both good years of weather, and that's when we can start to see that longer-term trend. And I guess, we are in it for the long term, so it is that longer-term trend that we're more interested in. But yeah, a lot of variability between what we're seeing on the off-road paths. again, sort of focusing in on the on-road routes, we're not seeing as much growth. All right, and again, sort of like what Bart was saying before, a lot of the people on our on-road routes, they're the fearless ones that are ready to battle it out on the roads. Our on-road routes as well, we've got this major barrier getting into the city because Super Tuesday is mainly about commuters. The Yarra River, we've got only a select number of river crossings that get us in, and they all have, just about all of them have trams, and not very friendly. There's no bike lanes certainly on the bridges, so it's a really, really hazardous environment. But I guess we are happy to see that there's a bit of growth. The other thing that this graph shows us, this comparison as well shows us, is we're not seeing anywhere near the amount of variability in how much the weather factors in on these cyclists. So, I mean, it is confirming what we sort of know, that probably the people that are riding on the roads, they're more dedicated to doing it, and the weather's not going to get in their way nearly as much. All right, and where to from here? This is something that we've found, and we've actually started some discussions with Strava. So if anyone knows the Strava app or the software, it is mainly targeted at athletes, but it uses a GPS. It uses GPS on your phone and tracks and compares your cycling trip or whatever with others. But the great thing about this, I know BV have the Rider Log app as well that does something similar. It's global, but it's showing 180,000 trips that are, so around the world. That's not certainly what's happening in Melbourne. But yeah, it's showing us the heat map of where people are riding, where people are logging those trips, and it's a lot more valuable in some ways than what I guess a single site count's doing. And there's a lot of data there. So we're trying to work with Strava to try and be able to delve into this data a bit more. So we're starting those discussions because we know a lot of that is probably some more of the weekend riders. Not that they're not important, but it'd be great to be able to look and say, this is what we know this is happening on the weekdays. Thanks.